Hello, everyone. My name is Sabrina Shum, and I am the head nurse for the hospitalist medicine program. I have here with me Amanda Stewart. She is the iPace mentor for the hospitalist medicine program. Today's presentation is an introduction to the iPace hospitalist project about early serious illness conversations.
We're going to start out with a little bit of background. So as we know, people are living longer with multiple comorbidities and higher levels of frailty. In fact, by 2025, it's predicted that only 20% of Canadians will die with an illness that has a recognizable terminal phase. These less predictable trajectories make it increasingly difficult to recognize the need for a goals of care conversation prior to a patient's decline or crisis moment, but also make it increasingly difficult to share prognostic information, which we know is essential for informed decision making. A little bit of information on palliative care. Palliative care is holistic person and family-centered care available for anybody with a life-limiting illness at any stage of their illness. It's complex pain and symptom management that focuses on improving quality of life, reducing suffering, and promoting understanding. When used most effectively, it is integrated early and alongside active treatment. And when used this way, it is proven to not only help people live longer, but also better.
I think when people hear goals of care, they often equate it to code status. But what we really want to do is to promote this particular all-encompassing definition. You will see that patients' underlying values and priorities is highlighted there because when we think about the importance of medical decisions that are made, we also want people to consider the reasons why they were made as equally important. And here's a list of all the benefits of having early conversations. When we're able to integrate these early into our workflow and also early into a patient's stay with us, that's when we see many of these benefits. And we really want to show you that although a lot of them are for patients and families, there are also some for us as healthcare providers. And it really shows that if we integrate it into our day-to-day practice and we're really providing care that aligns best with the patient's priorities and values, we can also get more fulfillment, less burnout, and less moral distress. So in comes our project. We are the first program at VGH to adopt this standard of practice through this pilot project. And the purpose of this project is really to have goals of care conversations early. And we do this by adopting a multidisciplinary approach to integrate serious illness conversation guide questions and screening tools into our admission workflows within 48 hours of admission, and then we document them in a unified location. We also support and mentor staff to increase all staff's competence and confidence in engaging in these serious illness and goals of care conversations. So some of our roles and responsibilities, like I mentioned earlier, we are here to mentor and support staff. So conversations can be quite unpredictable, and we never know how the patient will respond, or sometimes we don't know what to say. And so we have lots of tips and tricks that we can offer, and we're happy to share and demonstrate. So if ever you feel like you're about to have a conversation with a patient, you're not quite sure how to go about it, or would like some help, we are definitely more than happy to come along. And also in situations like family meetings and other discussions. So again, we work collaboratively alongside all members of the multidisciplinary team to help navigate any of the barriers to having goals of care conversations, and also to address any ways that we can integrate these conversations into our admission workflow. And most importantly, we are here to promote patient-centered care through informed and collaborative decision-making.
So we're just going to run you through the change, or sort of the integration of this into admission workflows. So to start, this is the Serious Illness Conversation Guide that BCH uses to structure their serious illness conversations. As you can see, it is a flow of conversation questions, but also within each question, it's patient and family tested language. We've circled the two there. What are your biggest fears and worries about the future of your health? And how much does your family know about your priorities and wishes? Because we feel those two are best sort of answered or when coming from your discipline group. So we are integrating a multidisciplinary approach, which means if each discipline asks a question or two in their admission workflow, then all of these questions don't fall on one discipline alone. And those were the two questions we thought might work best for you. And we'd love any feedback if you disagree, or perhaps you can kind of notice that these are questions you already ask quite naturally. These are the screening tools. So right after the advanced care plan comes the screening tools, and you'll see the section for completion on the advanced care plan in a couple of minutes. We just wanted to let you know that these are part of this work as well. So there isn't one assigned to your discipline group. Number 1, the frailty scale is assigned to OTPTs. And number 3, the surprise question is assigned to physicians. Number 2 hasn't been assigned because it's not always applicable, but if you do find yourself kind of wondering if the patient is transitioning to a more supportive or palliative approach to care, it's a great one to sort of gather your thoughts and sort of validate your feelings around that. So these screening tools are super helpful in identifying and prioritizing patients for these conversations. And we did want to take a minute to show you some of the documentation that has come from your discipline group. Lots of really great entries, and I'll read you a couple. So one says, client is most worried about her pain, with her goal being able to be discharged with pain control with oral meds. Feels well supported by her husband, son, and daughter-in-law. Would like her daughter-in-law, Maria, to be the main contact person for her discharge planning purposes. So that's a really great and informative entry. And then another one says, patient said she didn't like to think about care planning, so I didn't push her, but encouraged her to begin slowly. I asked her if there is someone she would like us to call if she were unable to communicate her wishes, and she said, my son. I will provide her with a What Matters Most to Me brochure so she can begin to think about it.
Like we mentioned earlier, the goal is to have all of these conversations documented in a unified location, which would be the Advanced Care Plan and Goals of Care discussion record. When used appropriately, the Advanced Care Plan and Goals of Care discussion record is a communication tool that really enhances the understanding of the patient's wishes for all members of the care team. It helps us avoid repetition of really time-consuming conversations. We often have changing team members or covering team members. And so having that information easily accessible really helps us provide a deeper understanding and insight into the conversations that have happened and into all the hard work that we put in. And oftentimes this allows us to, rather than having to start conversations over, to instead move the conversation forward. And sometimes with that knowledge, we can avoid potential triggers, and it also helps us save time digging through different sections of notes, to looking for specific information related to goals of care. So I'll just read you out an example of a multidisciplinary entries. So Sharon is aware of patient's worsening kidney function and notices her mother's decline over the last 6 months. No previous advanced care plan done. However, Sharon is patient's primary substitute decision maker as other daughter is overseas. That's an entry by a physician, and that's just the couple of questions that they did on their admission when the patient came up from emergency. And then upon meeting the patient, upon talking to the daughter, the CML wrote, write or phone daughter Sharon to discuss home support arrangements. She expressed feeling very overwhelmed about the situation and voiced that her mother should be transferred to long-term care as she has no other supports here. Acknowledged daughter's concerns, however, explained that patient is cognitively intact and has expressed her desire to return home with supports. Here are some more real-life examples of multidisciplinary entries. And these examples really highlight how different team members build different rapport with patients and ultimately get involved in different aspects of the patient's care. And if we all bring a piece of the puzzle, it will really help all of us save the time and energy and gain a better understanding of the patient as a whole. The focus of our project is to have these conversations as early as possible so that we can benefit the most from them. However, conversations are always ongoing and ever-changing, so it is really important to stay curious, like Curious George, and to continue to gather important information throughout a patient's hospitalization. So, although the list of questions from the Serious Illness Conversation Guide is patient tested and proven to be effective wording, but it is really the 6 key topics where the red arrows are that we hope to have explored with each admission. Some of these key topics are already a large part of the information we gather on admission and often offered to us through conversation that doesn't even have to be structured. If you have these key topics in your mind during admission, then you might find that some of these answers actually already come to you. For example, if during the conversation a patient says, "I'm so worried that my daughter and my wife won't be able to care for me at home anymore," then you can confirm by saying something like, "Would you say this is your biggest fear?" Or even, "How much does your family know about your concerns?"
And we did just want to take a moment to acknowledge some of the feedback we've been receiving from your discipline group as well as others. Amazing quotes that we collect on the way that this work is impacting your care and your day-to-day work. But taking a special moment to share that people are receiving thank yous and that the patient and family really are seeing an impact in this approach. So this is a letter that a patient's husband wrote to one of our staff members. It says, "Thank you so much for being so honest, caring, knowledgeable, and indeed understanding regarding my wife's dementia. You made me realize that this is the long goodbye. Not easy, not in a straight line. Thank you so much." So very clearly that was a very therapeutic conversation where he gained a lot of understanding about what was likely ahead, and that it was done in a way that really supported him and wasn't traumatizing in any way. And then another patient impact story we wanted to share is a patient that was admitted on one of our units after being on T16 and firstly in Emerge. And when she came to our unit, the staff integrated some of these questions into their admission workflow. And the patient was able to share with one of our staff members particularly that she actually wanted to readdress her code status with the physician because she didn't feel after having that conversation that being a full code was in her best interest or what she would have wished for herself. The clinician wrote that on the advanced care plan and notified the physician, who was able to readdress the code status within a couple of hours to an M3. So I think we can all imagine the interventions and investigations that she might have experienced if we hadn't had that conversation early. Which is a really great example of the impact that this can have throughout a patient's stay and the way that the advanced care plan can be a really great communication tool. And then lastly, just to say that we are all in this together. So everybody's, like Sabrina was saying, everybody's input and perspective and lens is really valuable. And if we all bring our piece of the puzzle to paint a complete picture, we really can provide better care and foster a better work environment for everybody.
And to measure our progress, we will be continuously doing chart audits, mostly on a weekly basis. And this really helps us track participation, but also identify any of the gaps that may be there so that we can focus some of our efforts in trying to minimize. And also we will be getting ongoing data reporting from decision support in relation to some of our more secondary outcomes that we hope we will be able to achieve. Things like a decrease in patient complaints, in length of stay, readmission rates, and more referrals to community services. And we will always continue to collect any subjective feedback. So like the quotes and the success stories that Amanda has shared. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to contact us. You will see our email addresses there. And you can also feel free to come and grab us on the unit as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.